God has been talking to me and Mom. Okay? And we're going to be moving. In exactly 30 minutes, we're going to tell our leaders. Are you nervous?
I wouldn't say that I'm nervous, but I'm sad.
Are you going to cry? Don't make me cry.
If you start crying, I'm definitely going to cry.
The vlogger in me wants to film this because I want to remember this moment, but I know it's so insincere.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now be seated.
One of my favorite things that God did for me was just a few months ago, we were up at the cabin together, and then I drove him home, and it was just me and him. So I was like, if you ever drive with him, you don't have to come up with anything, because he'll talk the whole time. You know, a lot of us, we really focus on life. We want to live a good life, and he did that. He gave us the gift of a good life. But even more than that, that drive home, I was super grateful because I told him, I said, man, he would talk a lot about death. I said, are you ready for death? He goes, oh yeah, I just want to meet Jesus. Henry Nouwen, he has this quote. He says, yes, there is such a thing as a good death. We ourselves are responsible for the way we die. We have to choose between clinging to life in such a way that death becomes nothing but a failure, or letting go of life in freedom, so that we can be given to others as a source of hope. And the way that his last few months of life was so ready for death, not in a morbid way, but in a way of knowing he did all that he did. And I'm so grateful because he did so much. He worked so hard. But he looked at his life and he just said it was all the grace of God. Yeah, I'll never forget that. And I'm grateful to carry on his name. I cried like a little, I don't even, what's wrong with me?
It's your grandfather. What do you mean what's wrong with you?
So it was okay?
I would be worried if you just joked your way through that.
Okay. I wish I wrote something, but.
Man, I guess the stress of this weekend, getting zits all over like I'm a teenager.
We're not telling anybody tonight, right? Until after I tell them?
Yep.
All right, good. Are you excited?
Yes.
What about you, Faith? You've done a great job with the secret.
Anybody.
Good.
I also going to miss my friends and all my family. I'm not telling them.
Good. I believe you. Do you believe him?
I hope so.
There's a lot we want to share with you. There's a lot that God is doing. If you remember, you guys were so gracious. About a year ago now, I asked the church, I asked the leadership, and I told you guys I felt like God was calling me and my family to take a sabbatical. June 28th was technically the beginning of my sabbatical. That morning, a mentor of mine, he called me at 6:45 in the morning, and I thought, oh no, what is wrong? I answered the phone, and we kind of talked a lot about nothing, but eventually he kind of got around to the point where he says, hey, I'm going to ask you to pray for something I know you don't want to pray for. Okay. I said, go ahead. I said, you do know I'm taking a sabbatical, not because I'm very happy. I love this church. I'm not in a bad spot. You don't need to save me from anything. He says, I know. I didn't even know you're on sabbatical. I said, okay, good. He said, I want you to pray about a position of becoming a lead pastor at a church in California. And so I said, okay, only because I want to honor you? I said, yes. So that began the process. So we visited the church. It's a wonderful church, I suppose. There's nothing, we put out a few fleeces of like, make it obvious, and nothing was obvious at all. What do you think?
It's gigantic.
Really big. What do you think, Faith?
I do think if we go outside at class, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, because it's really big. So we got done with sabbatical. First thing I did is I drove to Caleb and Shelby's new house, and I said, hey, I just have to be upfront with you, because we didn't talk to each other that whole month. It was the best month of his life, okay? And so, be careful. And so I went over to his house and said, hey, here's what's going on. I just want you to know, here's my intentions. I wasn't asking. I wasn't putting out feelers. I'm happy here. I love you. I love this church. Then December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, we had Christmas Eve together. And that night when I got home, I got an email from them saying, hey, you've made it another step. January 22nd, we had already planned this. We had our leaders. So this is hard because there's so many leaders here. We had the leaders of volunteers. So if you're somebody who's in charge of other people, we had you come on a Saturday night. We had an incredible time. And honestly, it was the best time that I've had in a long time, just in general. And so I remember going home that night and I said, Jordan, this is a sign from God. Why would we ever leave this church? We've been praying, laboring for 7 years, and we finally got to the point, I love these leaders. I love these people. I would give my life for these folks. Clearly, this is a sign we're not supposed to take any step further. And so January 24th, that's Monday morning in my quiet time, I told God, I said, okay, God, I need you. I said, I hate to give you demands, but I'm asking you today to make it painfully clear if I'm called away from Passion Creek and towards Emmanuel. If not, make it painfully clear. I want you, here's my 8 problems I have, and I need you to answer all of them. And that day, God gave us 5 different confirmations. We had random phone calls from people I haven't talked to in a long time. We had scriptures that stuck out to us. We had a best friend. This was the biggest one, I think, for us. Tell us later on in that day, told Jordan that she doesn't want to tell us this, but she feels like something better is in store for us in California. That one floored us. That night, there's a tweet of pastors. I've just been frustrated about this because I've never heard about a pastor who left a church they loved. You hear about all the stories of a pastor leaving the church they hate or leaving a church because the church hated the pastor. And that night I read about a tweet, and I need to be careful because I'll probably get emotional if I actually share what I saw, but it was essentially saying so many pastors were talking about the grief they've gone through when they had to leave a church that they deeply loved. You want to help me? I got far.
So we took the next step and they flew us out to California.
Flying in for my final interview in a few hours. This might be the final time I pour concrete. This trip can change our life entirely. Is the shirt you're wearing signify how you're voting?
We landed
Yep.
in Ontario, right here. We sat next to a girl on the flight who grew up in Redlands, which is kind of funny.
Let's roll.
No favor here.
40 minutes. Well, really?
What are you doing?
They gave our money back.
Mark 5, don't be afraid, just believe. That's what I'm going to do tonight. Be as honest, as forthright as possible. I'm going to be me, because God made me me. I don't need to be whatever they want me to be. And they don't need to be who I want them to be.
We had the opportunity to meet with a group of people from the members of the church.
We're here. Stomach hurts. Gonna push through it. Lord, I hope we can push through it. We got this?
Yes. They asked us a bunch of questions. We got to ask a bunch of our questions.
This was last weekend.
Yeah. They were very kind, and it was very obvious and clear to us that God had spoken, and this is what he was calling us to do. Wow, I thought it was great.
Really?
Did you?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to voice some things that maybe they weren't necessarily.
I thought they would be against, and they totally weren't.
Yeah, like they were like, no, that's amazing. It's exciting, but I am still sad because I don't know. I feel like I have like a more clarity of like this is it.
So we flew home, and the way they do their process is they waited until this last Tuesday what their decision was, and so they waited and they prayed as a group. There's 10 people involved, I believe. So they got together Tuesday night, processed, are we the next lead pastor for them? And so I got a text Wednesday morning that said, we unanimously, enthusiastically say yes, but here's the thing too, we're not hired yet, so their board said, their committee said yes, but now the congregation, the church has to vote yes. Now, let me be clear. Every expert, every church leader has told me not to tell you guys any of this yet. Everybody has told me I'm supposed to wait till it's official, but you guys are family. All right, I think that's it. We love you.